the key to beating COVID-19 on your own. And this is not some kind of snake oil approach or some magic cure kind of thing. We're going to jump straight into it. We'll start off talking about how COVID-19 infects you and spreads in your body. For the most part, you have a virus, this spherical shaped thing that we see all over the media. Those little red kind of tips that you see on the end, those are receptors. Those, when COVID-19, when the coronavirus enters your system, it first contacts your cells in your throat and your larynx. So when that virus and those cells touch, then those receptors like this grab on. And the receptors, when they touch the cells, they pump in all kind of genetic information, and that genetic information that the virus pumps into the cell turns your cell into a coronavirus factory. And so your cell, instead of doing what it's supposed to do, now just starts producing lots and lots and lots of coronaviruses. It produces so many, in fact, that it's kind of nasty that the cell explodes. And when the cell explodes, nothing but coronaviruses come out. And those coronaviruses all touch new cells and do the same thing. And so you might wonder, okay, well, then what do we do to stop it, right? Like that would just destroy our body over time. And it would. And the only reason that it doesn't is because your immune system ultimately creates a response. And so over time, your immune system will interact with the virus. It'll learn how to create antibodies and it'll neutralize the virus before anything can happen. Now, the key to, this working is your immune system's response time. So if as soon as the virus gets in the back of your throat, your immune system sees it, identifies it, and is able to make an effective antibody for it, you will be what is called asymptomatic. Now, if that virus gets in your throat and let's say, maybe you lose your sense of smell and, taste, let's say you start experiencing dry cough, and then symptoms maybe go away. It means your immune system was able to identify it, maybe took a little longer to come up with the symptom, but was able to figure out a solution before it could progress and get worse. And so now the lower the quality of your immune system or the slower the response time, the more that COVID-19 will continue to spread, touch cells, and replicate further and further down into the lungs. So now the problem with that becomes this. When your immune response is really slow and COVID starts to get really low into the lungs, two things start to happen. And this is why people get really sick and why some people die. Number one, cell debris. Every time that coronavirus gets inside your cell and explodes, the cell explodes and the debris from the cell is all over the place. And now it's also in the tubes in your lungs. And so when this happens on the scale of hundreds of thousands of millions of cells, right? Well, you start to, you start to have inflammation and buildup. And so number two is autoimmunity. And so your immune system is continuing to try to fight it, even though it hasn't figured out the antibodies, it's continuing to try to fight and kill it the entire time. And so as it gets deeper and deeper into your lung system, your body sends more and more resources at it, which, I don't know if you know how the immune system works, but it's kind of like fighting crime in society. If there's a crime that goes on, you call the police, the FBI. In the movies, you call the Avengers. Well, your body does the same thing too. So when COVID starts to get low, it calls the big boys in, the Avengers, what we call cytokines. So a cytokine storm begins and a big fight begins to happen in your lungs. Well, what happens is you've got all of this cell debris and you've got this inflammation that's created from your immune system, and you've got not much space to work in. And over time, that ends up clogging your lungs to the point where you can't breathe. And ultimately, this is what ends up killing people. The best way to put it is imagine, COVID-19 was a supervillain and the Avengers were a superhero and they were fighting on Earth, and Earth is your body. When the fight gets so bad that it breaks planet Earth, you die. And so that is, in a lot of senses, what is happening. So to speed up, the key to this is really speeding up your immune system's response time, getting your immune system to the point where it can respond and respond effectively when the infection is up here, even the infection is down here. But once it starts getting into here, it becomes, really difficult. We've got to add a lot of things to start making up time. And so the reason that our immune systems respond slow, why is that? Um, for one, I mean, they're usually filled with toxins. Most of those toxins come from food. The what that the way to think about that is like every time you bring toxins into your body, your immune system attacks it. That's like a little fire to put out. That's like a little scrum, a little crime that they have to solve or deal with. And so what it does is it drains resources from your immune system, and over time it creates little bits of damage all throughout your body. So number one, to increase your immune system's response time, you've got to remove toxins. Number two, you've got to stack up on elite antioxidants. So for instance, when inflammation happens, there are anti-inflammatories with antioxidants that can reduce the inflammation. Reducing the inflammation allows room for your immune system and all of the nutrients to work when they are fighting the coronavirus. So some of these elite antioxidants, liposomal vitamin C, black cumin seed oil. I mean, we can go that. You can do research online, but getting elite antioxidants. And honestly, the best approach to it is combining these two, which is using green juice. So you guys have probably seen green juice all over documentaries, all over, we have our own rejuvenated green juice. And at the end of the day, the recipe is, kale, celery, cucumber, lemons, apples, and a little bit of ginger. And at the end of the day, this is a recipe that will kickstart your immune system probably more effectively than anything else in the world. I truly, deeply believe that green juice is probably the most nutrient dense food on earth and the best food for boosting your immune system. And being able to take in anywhere from a quart to more a day will, within a week, ramp up your immune system's ability to respond. And, we can go into the implications of this further. When people reverse diabetes and heart disease in 2 to 4 weeks, it is usually due to a huge intake of fruits, vegetables, and the ingredients in green juice. So with all that said, just remember, speeding up your immune system's response time, your immune system's ability to respond, is the key to you being able to manage this COVID situation well, which when you think about it is not very different than the macro situation. So your micro situation, the way that your immune system responds to COVID-19 in your body is very similar to society, how on the macro, how we respond to COVID-19 affects how it penetrates us. So point is, fast response times are what creates the most safety. To put your body in a position to have fast response times, you got to do things to boost your immune system. The number one thing you can do is drinking lots of green juice. So get a recipe, get on it, pass it on, and see you on the other side.